Somebody had to say, I'm in charge. And I had to meet with some gang members in the community here. A couple of times they tried to take the campus by having a street fight on the campus. They would just come on in the middle of the school day during lunchtime, right in the quadrangle. And I had to stop that and let them know that I wasn't going to be intimidated. And if I wasn't going to be intimidated, then nobody else should be intimidated either. I had no choice. I mean, that's what had to be done. Somebody had to say, I'm willing to live and die here if necessary. My name is George McKenna. I've been a classroom teacher, a principal, an assistant and deputy superintendent, and a superintendent of various school districts in the Los Angeles area in California. This is David Starr Jordan High School. This is where I started. And I love this school. I was a brand new teacher. Didn't know much about what I was doing, was trying to learn it along the way. I can recall some of my colleagues were wonderful, magnificent teachers, old school type of teachers. They dressed up when they came to work, and I appreciated that. I was born and reared in New Orleans, Louisiana, in an interesting time and a different time of segregation. All of my schooling from kindergarten through my baccalaureate degree at Xavier University was segregated. I had no white classmates. I never had a white classmate. Segregated experience is something I've never forgotten. There were very difficult times to deal with, but we were loved by our parents, we were loved by our teachers. We didn't even know we were poor. We thought we were okay. We go back to the homes that we grew up in back then, and we thought they were big houses until we go back and look at them and realize we lived in a shotgun house with one bathroom, multiple children, and not a whole lot to deal with, but we thought we were okay because we told ourselves we were okay. Our teachers told us we were okay. And so I never felt inferior at all. Character and ethics in the teaching profession have a lot to do with the individual teacher's ability and willingness to see this as something more than a job. It has to be like a calling. In a personal way, for me, it was the closest thing I could come to what I thought I wanted to be when I was younger and didn't know any better. Not that it was a wrong thing. I thought I wanted to be a priest because I could relate to the giving lifestyle, the sacrificial lifestyle. What caught my attention was the vow of celibacy. Once I found out about girls, I said, oh, I don't know if I can do that. So I figured there must be something else I can do other than being a celibate for the rest of my life. And so I decided teaching would be great. The art of teaching and the science of teaching has to have teachers who are committed to personalizing this thing called public education. You have to personalize your relationship with students. Get to know their names. You need to get to know their phone numbers. You need to call them, see how they're doing, not just to report something negative, just call and see how they're doing. Walk around the classroom, touch them, look over their shoulder, ask them what they understand. The ones that are not understanding it, pull them aside, try to do some personal tutoring. I always did this. I think there's some people today who would prefer to have a teacher-proof environment. Just plug him into the computer. Let the machinery teach him. Let the technology teach him. Put the earphones on his head and let him teach himself. I mean, I would hate to think that the children have grown to remember with fondness that they're a great computer and can't remember their teacher's name. And in some cases that may be true. When you don't remember your teachers, you don't even remember their names. I would hope that my students remembered my name. One of the things that we fail to do is come up with ways to embrace rather than punish students. For example, Something that I know is antiquated is the use of suspension. Suspension is as useless as corporal punishment used to be. I mean, if we have to punish students, punish them at school. I have many ways to make them miserable on campus. I don't have to send you home to make you unhappy. Now I got a whole lot of trash you can pick up on the campus. It's called beautification. Some teachers don't know the difference between being a friend to a student and being the teacher who's friendly. They're not your peers and you're not theirs. You're not a teenager, you're not a child, you're an adult, and you have to act like an adult and give advice like an adult and have expectations like an adult. And some teachers try to be friends with the students in order to make peace with them. And the students take advantage of that because they have a tendency to know that you're doing it from weakness as opposed to a position of strength. So I always advise teachers, when you begin the school year, come off tough and hard. Don't act like you're a soft touch. Then when you do soften up, they know it's on your terms. And I would always tell them that I love them. And when I would say that to the boys, initially, they would laugh because they never heard a man tell them, I love you. They didn't know what that meant. And I realized nobody ever told them. No man had ever told them that he loved them. And I would talk about brotherhood and manhood. You can be a man and be a scholar. You can be a man and be a servant. You can be a man and use respectful language. You don't have to be a hard-head gang-banging trying to prove that you're a man because you're violent and you dress like a thug. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. She had 7 children come through here. They all went to college. 3 of them are now attorneys, 1 police officer, 1 engineer, and a couple other
teachers.
Teachers. Isn't that great? And she remembered me.
I remember him, yes.
So my expectations were, I admit, naive, but I'm not afraid of my naivete because it allows me to take chances without knowing that I can't. If somebody told me that I couldn't and I believed it, then I wouldn't. But I refuse to believe that. Just because you're bigger than me doesn't mean I can't take you down. And even if you knock me down twice, I'm gonna keep getting up. And I'm kind of like, as I said, when I was a combative person, even though I lost some fights, nobody ever asked me for a rematch because it costs to beat my butt. It's expensive, I get some licks in too. It's so good to see you, Miss Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Tell your children I said hello.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
dear, thank you. That's where you earn your money. That's why it's very important that we as educators never give up on children and never cease to realize their full potential. Even when they look hopeless and helpless and look like they're dysfunctional and unhappy and disinterested, we still have to try to inspire and motivate. That's our greatest task. It isn't so much about subject matter. Teaching is more than teaching subject matter. It's teaching people to want to learn the subject matter, whatever the subject matter is, but mostly it's about being a decent human being and maximizing your own potential that you were created with when you were born. So I don't have any illusions that this will be easy. But then why should it be easy? I mean, if it was easy, somebody else would have done it, and I wouldn't have to talk about it. It's always a difficult and the darn near impossible that we should even begin to talk about child taking on. Easy stuff, everybody can do the easy stuff.